Happy Sunday to you all. Welcome inside the FamilyDeal.com 7 Sports Cave. I am your host, Justin Rose. On tonight's show, we're doing Lions. Of course, we'll talk about the news of the day, but that's really what it was. I mean, I even bought a new suit. It was blue, and I figured, hey, this might help the Lions beat the Chiefs. It didn't. Have to burn it after the show. Whatever. Here we go. Statement was made by Detroit today, even though it was a loss, and everyone's going to remember the record books saying as much, but there was plenty of winning football played by Detroit in what will go down as a disappointing yet optimistic loss down at Ford Field earlier today. Let's take a look at what happened. The question was whether the Lions offense could keep pace with the NFL's top offense, and that was quickly answered in the first quarter. TJ Hockenson gets a touchdown. Lions jumped out to a 10-0 lead, but the Chiefs, they had this happen to them before. A couple weeks ago against Oakland, they battled back in that game, and they battled back in this one. 10 unanswered points. LaShawn McCoy getting the touchdown there. It was tied at the break 13-13. The third quarter was one of the wackiest ones I've ever seen in my career. Teams combined for 5 fumbles, but the one that everyone will remember is this one. Kerryon Johnson reached for the goal line. Ball was knocked free. Chiefs wisely run it back 100 yards for the score. Confusion for sure, but the Lions needed to finish that play. It held up. Chiefs go up 20-13. The Lions did answer, though. A lot of resolve in this one. Kenny Galladay touchdowns to give the Lions the lead back. Just over 2 minutes to go, but that was too much time for the best offense in the league. Patrick Mahomes scrambled on a 4th and 8. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Darrell Williams, he gets the score. So the Lions have to have a Hail Mary attempt. They had one, got another one because of some time left on the clock, but this one not much better than the first. There is the final, 34-30. The Lions close, but the arrow of the season is pointing up.
There was a lot of good football out there. We just, too many bad plays that hurt us. But, yeah, I mean, I like where we're going. We just got to continue to work. Just because won 2 games, tied 1, and got close on another doesn't mean a whole lot. We got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to win those games.
There's certainly some things in here to be really proud of, and as we take a look at it, as we get into the bye week, we'll find out the things that we need to fix, and that'll be a key part of it. We got to fix those things as we go forward. Appreciate those guys, and look, that's a great team over there, and Andy does an unbelievable job of coaching them and getting them ready to go. And we're going to go compete with anybody that is put in front of us, but we expect to win no matter who we play. We're going out to play and compete and win. So as far as we're concerned, that's what we're trying to do.
Michael Rothstein from ESPN joins me now, Lions beat writer. And Michael, I mean, this is as close as you can get for the Lions to get over the hump and really kind of cement themselves as a legitimate contender. Yeah. At the same time, though, even though they lost, you still have to kind of raise your eyebrows to the Lions and what they're doing, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that this is one of those things where you never want to say a moral victory. Players hate that, coaches hate that. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it was as much of a moral victory. I wrote in my story, yeah, it was a woulda, coulda, shoulda type of game for them where, they would have, could have, and should have won this game.
I think so.
But even in that loss, you take a lot from it because, to me, they can play with any team in the NFL, especially offensively. They can handle any offense in the NFL because you think of what they did to Patrick Mahomes today. No touchdown passes, had him for one of the few times in his career really scrambling in the last minute of the game to have to pull out a win. And you're doing without Darius Slay, without Quandre Diggs, without Mike Daniels, without Deshaun Hand. You were told all those things before the game and said, hey, the Lions would do what they did today defensively. I think you would have taken that and ran with it. And they didn't play a great game either. That was the thing. Right. They fumbled the ball a lot. They had, 2, 3 red zone fumbles, a fumble on the one that all they needed to do was tackle the guy or even touch the guy, and it's not a 100-yard touchdown, and they make the Chiefs drive the length of the field, and that was something Kansas City really struggled to do today. So there were so many little things here and there that, to me, the big takeaway I have is they can play with anybody, and for the Lions, while they might hate the loss, that's something I think they have to feel good about.
Right. Kerryon Johnson did, he talked about being upset at himself for trying to reach the ball over his head to try to on that fumble. I mean, that's the type of play. Look, a couple weeks ago, Jamal Agnew runs back a 100-yard kick return. Those are those swing plays that at the end of the day, when you look at the final score and it's 34-30, you go, well, without that back, the Lions win the game. I want to get your take on this. I thought they were pretty dominant throughout the day, offensively, defensively. You're not going to score on every single possession. Yeah.
But the Lions, for the most part, able to move the ball when they wanted to and got off the field besides the last drive kind of when they wanted to. I mean, that's got to be having an arrow pointing up for this team.
Absolutely. I totally buy into that. I thought that they outplayed Kansas City in every facet, and even in special teams, because Harrison Butker, who's one of the best kickers in the league, missed a pretty gimme, chip shot field goal. That to me was the moment where I'm like, well, wait a minute, is this going to be one of those like exorcism field goal games like we've seen here in the past 2 years with Mason Crosby and with Cody Parkey? So you're like, man, is that going to happen? And yeah, I think that you have to be happy offensively. They finally got the run game going. That was something they felt during the week that they would be able to do. I talked to a couple players in the locker room after that said that they felt they would be able to do that. And then they went out and did it. Matthew Stafford clearly played hurt today. There's no question about that. And he looked, I thought he had one of the better games of his career as far as when you consider the injury, but you consider some of those touch passes and some of those balls that he threaded, including the touchdown that didn't count in the far end zone on the other side over there to Kenny Golladay. That was a pass that, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks in the league can make. And then the one kind of standing right where we are here, that was the game winner that wasn't. I mean, that's a heck of a ball and a heck of a play by Kenny Golladay. And by the way, Kenny Golladay is becoming a star.
Absolutely.
If you didn't realize, if no one's realized that yet, like, he's there. He is making those toe tap catches, those sideline grabs that the guy who was honored at halftime was making, Calvin Johnson. And he's not in Calvin Johnson's league, at least not yet, but he's a big play receiver that Matthew Stafford has a lot of confidence in. And I think at this point, he feels that if he has Kenny Golladay one-on-one with maybe almost any corner in the league, maybe there's a couple here and there he would go to Kenny Golladay and take his chances. And I think you saw that today over and over again.
Matt Patricia was asked about the toughness of his quarterback, number 9, and this is what he had to say about it right after the game.
One of the toughest guys we got. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, he's competing extremely hard. We got a lot of guys out there that are banged up or got banged up during the game that went out and finished and played hard, and he was leading the charge. So, tell you all the time, I'm just appreciative so much that he's our quarterback and that he goes out and he fights and he works and he grinds and tries to get better. And they just keep fighting and they follow him and we just keep going forward.
So Matthew Stafford, there it is. I mean, look, I think that you felt the environment in this place. You felt the want for the team to get over the hump. The players, Stafford had his arms up in the touchdown formation for about 4 minutes when they were deliberating on that Golladay touchdown. Can fans finally take away that this Lions team is legitimate moving forward? Because it starts to feel like everyone's so close to being like, I want to buy in, but the same old Lions thing, this was not a same old Lions loss in any way, shape, or form in reality, but fans are still hesitant to do so because they've had the rug pulled out from underneath them. Give some solace to people that are on that fence still about buying in.
I would say it's funny that Matthew Stafford signaling on the 25-yard line over there, that was the lead to the story that no one will ever read, because I was writing a win story and a lose story basically at the same time. But the fact that I'm doing that that late against the Chiefs, that's generally a good sign. That's a lot of what I was doing in 2014, a lot of what I was doing in 2016. The things I see from this team are very promising, and I think that they have something that they can build on. Obviously, these next 2 games are going to be critical for their playoff hopes because they're going to Green Bay and then playing Minnesota. But overall, this is a team that I think you can definitively say they're a decent team, and I think you can kind of creep that up and say, you know what, this team might be a good team. I was talking to J.D. McKissick in the locker room after. He's been on a lot of good teams in Seattle, he was in Atlanta, and he said that there's a feeling around this locker room that they are maybe a good team, and it feels very similar to some of the good teams he was on in some other places. Right. And you have a lot of guys on this team that have been in those winning cultures. New England, Seattle, Atlanta, and yeah, those are the guys that are talking the most too, and they seem to be the ones that really believe it. And when you see those guys believe it and they're all saying, and it doesn't seem like it's just coach speak regurgitated, like kind of one of the coach speak things we heard all week was they're one person away, 1 block away. Like every person you talked to about the run game said that, right? Right. But these are more different types of answers. That's when I really believe that maybe there's something there. And that's kind of what I've been hearing both in this past week leading up to this game and then certainly tonight. Like one player, I'm not going to say who it was, kind of got a little mad at me when I asked him, like, hey, do you feel like this showed something? Do you feel like you guys showed you're a contender? And he's like, I'm sick of answering this question game after game, year after year, because we are this team. This is just who we are. When are people just going to believe that? I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's where they're at. That's how they feel. And that is, to me, a good sign going forward.
Yeah, well, getting a win on the road in Green Bay in 2 weeks, they'll have the bye, obviously, would certainly be a step in the direction of shutting up those types of questions. Michael Rothstein, once again, great work, ESPN.com. Read his stuff all week long into the bye week, owing into the Green Bay. We'll have him back on here sometime later on during the season.
Thanks again to Michael. Elsewhere around the league, Vikings-Bears in an NFC North matchup. Mitchell Trubisky suffers a shoulder injury in the first quarter, would not return. Chase Daniels forced to come in and take over. He got to helping the Bears get on the board. 10-yard touchdown pass finds Tariq Cohen in those Michigan jerseys, I think. Khalil Mack and the defense taking care of business on the other end. Bears go on to beat the Vikings 16-6. How about the Rams hosting the Buccaneers? Tons of scoring in this one. LA trailing late. Jared Goff is sacked. The ball pops free, and it's Ndamukong Suh scooping it and scoring it. That puts it out of reach. How about the big fella running? Tampa Bay wins it 55-40. All right, coming up next, a lot more reaction from the Lions loss. We go back inside the Lions locker room. We talk to a couple of players about what just went wrong. And I have a certain number of things that I have to point out. Probably the things that are being glossed over as people are still scratching their heads on what went wrong in the game. The Lions probably should have won. That's coming up next here on the FamilyDeal.com 7 Sportscape. Stick around. Welcome back to the FamilyDeal.com 7 Sportscape. Trying something new tonight. Trying to take a deeper dive into exactly what went wrong with the Lions' loss to the Chiefs today. Look, they had their opportunities. The team said as much. But let's take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly that came from it. Look, the first thing that happens here, fumbles. That just absolutely cannot happen. Matthew Stafford on this particular play hesitated to run, whether it was his hip injury, whether he thought he saw somebody down the field. The ball goes on the ground, and that takes away after the Kenny Golladay touchdown was called back. More on that in a second, but Stafford obviously knows that just cannot happen. Here's another example of fumbles. Kerryon Johnson trying to reach the ball over his head to try to break the plane is something that has to stay in the college game. With the way the NFL is officiated these days, they're going to let these things play through. And after much chagrin and fans being upset with the call being what it was the right call. Cannot put the ball on the ground in that scenario. Here's another big play of the game that's probably not getting enough talk. 4th and 8. The game on the line, and Patrick Mahomes scrambles to get free. They doubled Kelsey on that play, and that was the reason why he was so wide open to get a massive first down, leading to the game-winning drive. But I thought that the Lions definitely got screwed by the referees today. Take another look at that play. That play doesn't look too innocent, right? But when it's slowed down, and yes, I understand it's slowed down, that is the definition of face guarding. He grabs his mask. No call there. This is another call that didn't go the Lions' way. 1 foot, 2 foot, red fish, blue fish. Yes, the ball bobbles free there, but the new rules state that catching the ball and bobbling it while maintaining possession without the ball hitting the ground outside is a catch. That is one. Mike Pereira, all the guys said it was that, but then that guy said it was that. So what is it, guys? What's going on with the officiating in the NFL? Because if you go on Twitter right now and you look at the end of that Dallas-New Orleans game, I guarantee you will find plenty more tweets talking about how the NFL has an officiating problem. By no means am I blaming the officiating on this at all. I'm simply stating a fact. They have a problem. Let's go back inside that locker room, though. Plenty of guys had plenty of things to say today as we wired up inside the Lions locker room.
When you play the game of football, you battle through adversity. There was a lot of it today on both sides of the ball. Both teams really. Like I said, they just finished better than we did today.
What do you make of the way the defense on your side of the ball, the Lions defense played against Patrick Mahomes in that offense?
They played their ass off, man. They really did. I'm proud of those guys over there. I know they wanted to finish the game, in a different way, but they definitely played their ass off today.
Were you happy with how you guys did respond after that? For the most part?
Yeah, for sure, because we could have just packed it in, but we didn't. We fought, but it always comes back to something, and like I said, you lose points and give up points in one play, it's catastrophic.
And I know the NFL is not about moral victories, but is there any silver lining you can take away from this game? You guys held pat with a pretty good team?
I mean, not really. NFL doesn't do rankings. Nobody cares at the end of the year if you almost beat the best team. There's only one team happy. In order to be that happy one, you got to beat other good tems.
I don't think we need to prove anything to anybody. We love, the way we practice, the way we work, the way we come out and play. We're a good football team. Lost to another good football team today. There were a bunch of great plays made in this game, a couple bad plays by each team made in this game. That's the way it goes in the NFL. It came down to the last 15 seconds. They were undefeated coming into this game, so were we. Somebody was going to have to lose. Obviously, you want to win them all at home. It was a good opportunity to beat a good team, and we were darn close.
We'll find out here as we go through the season. It's a long season for us. Just finished 4 games. There's certainly some things in here to be really proud of, and as we take a look at it, as we get into the bye week, we'll find out the things that we need to fix, and that'll be a key part of it. We got to fix those things as we go forward. Appreciate those guys, and look, that's a great team over there, and Andy does an unbelievable job of coaching them and getting them ready to go. And we're going to go compete with anybody that is put in front of us, but we expect to win no matter who we play. We're going out to play and compete and win. So as far as we're concerned, that's what we're trying to do.
Plenty of good sound from inside the Lions locker room today. One of the things, if you've been following me in this show for some time, my hot takes are pretty bad. I'm usually wrong. That's okay, right? It's just a prediction. But I will tell you this. I truly believe that this game is going to be a game changer for the Lions moving forward. If you can keep pace with one of the best teams in the NFL and probably should have won the game had you buttoned some things up, that's a pretty good sign for what Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, and the rest of the company are doing over there in Allen Park. Now, look, it could go south. It could be same old Lions once again, down the stretch. We'll find out. And that's what Matt Patricia said. Long season left to go. We will not know until some time. But you got to breathe a little easy tonight. You got to go to bed kind of happy, even with a loss. Because the Lions did something they haven't done in a long time. Compete with the best. We'll see if they can continue that. All right, coming up next, a new top 25 poll. Where is Michigan and Michigan State as they headed to 2 tough tests next weekend? Plus, Ron Gardenhire, he reflects on the season that was and the one we're all thankful is over. That's coming up next here on the 7 Sports Cave. Stick around. Welcome back to the FamilyDeal.com 7 Sports Cave. Both Michigan, Michigan State, happy weekends with victories. Big Ten slate rolling on. For the Wolverines, did they have a rebound in a big way? 52-0, albeit over Rutgers, who fired head coach Chris Ash today, but it is a much better feeling than Wolverines fans had last week, even though the 14th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes are coming to town next week.
This week definitely helped us finding our identity, and we just got to keep going. We got to take it, one game at a time, one step at a time. So, we focus on Iowa, and, we're going to keep moving forward.
Now, as for the Spartans, they were fortunate to escape with a much-needed win over Indiana yesterday, but if you look at it from the lens that the next 3 games will really decide what kind of season Michigan State has, you probably have to feel good that they faced some adversity in this one. Brian Lewerke was outstanding. He regained some of that swag he had 2 years ago. The Spartans have the toughest task, though, perhaps in the country next week, heading down to Columbus to take on a Buckeyes team that looks every bit a part of a member of that elusive college football playoff.
Keep fighting. I mean, the game's going to get tough. Things going to get hard, but you got to keep fighting, continue to fight. I'm pretty sure the coach is going to put us in a good position. You got to keep playing. Now it's just on to the next.
And I will be at that game on Saturday. You can watch it on WXYZ. We'll have a live 30-minute post-game show from Columbus and here at our Southfield studios. Brad Galley will be back here with some analysts to break things down. The game kicks off at 7:30. Plenty of insight from what could be a major upset or a major blowout. We'll see. That's right after the game. Next Saturday, only on 7. Well, the Red Wings don't start their season until next Saturday as well. They'll be in Nashville for that one, home opener the following day on Sunday, but the roster is set. If you were rooting for the young guns to be playing, you won't see them. The last 4 first-round picks over the last 3 years are headed to Grand Rapids to start this season. Now, that includes Moritz Seider, Joe Veleno, Philip Zadina, and Michael Rasmussen. We'll probably see them later on in the season. The Tigers wrapped up their season today in Chicago, a 5-3 loss. What else is new? They finished the season 47-114. They also set a major league record for most strikeouts by a team in one season. Not the pitching, the swinging of the bat. Miguel Cabrera hit his 477th home run today in his career, tying Adrian Beltre 30th all-time in home runs. Manager Ron Gardenhire and the rest are ready for a vacation after this one.
A long season, a tough season. Need to rest. Need to take a step back and look at, everything and relax a little bit here, and then we'll get back into the grind of all the other stuff. But right now it's relax a little bit, take it easy, wind down, get my health back, all of it, the broken brain, and, hopefully we'll go from there.
I suffer from a broken brain too. NASCAR round of 16 going through the Roval hybrid course at Charlotte. Alex Bauman, he gets tangled up with Bubba Wallace. Wallace gets put into the wall. After the race, Wallace letting his frustration be known by throwing water in Bauman's face in pit lane. A grown man throwing water at another grown man. It's NASCAR, baby. Chase Elliott leading the race in the final stage. That is until that grown man goes into a wall. Could be heard saying on the radio, "I can't believe I just did that." Elliott battles back though, slips past Kevin Harvick for the lead with 6 laps to go. Elliott holds on for the win. He would go over to the same spot where he crashed earlier to do a celebratory burnout. No water involved there. All right, coming up next, high school football game of the week nominees and a few final thoughts. Stay with us. High school football season cruising right along, headed into week 6 already, meaning some teams could clinch their playoff spot as soon as this week. Time to look at the nominees for our Leo's Coney Island Game of the Week. Here are the voting options at WXYZ.com and our app. Mount Clemens at Detroit Old Redford, Detroit King at Detroit Denby, Cranbrook Kingswood at Detroit Loyola, Waterford Mott at South Lyon, and Gibraltar Carlson at Trenton. Voting runs through Wednesday at midnight at WXYZ.com and our app. I'll be live at the winning game Friday during 7 Action News at 5 and 6. And of course, we'll have highlights and reaction from that game at 11 o'clock. Before we go, I really want to share some final thoughts about that Tigers season. Look, 114 losses is something to always forget about. But at the same time, they're trying to build. Let's see if they can do that in the offseason and spring training. See those young guns come up next year in spring training. And maybe in a couple years, we'll have more fun. We'll see you next week.